Cards. The 5 and 4 Bucks take on the Tigers right now on Root Sports.
Afternoon baseball at PNC Park. The Pirates against the Detroit Tigers, concluding this home-and-home 4-game interleague series. The Tigers winning last night. The Buccos look to even the series. Greg Brown along with Steve Blass. Glad you could be with us. Great pitching matchup in store for you. The Pirates send Garrett Cole to the hill, his home debut in 2016. And Steve, he didn't pitch all that great against the Cincinnati Reds.
No, he didn't. I got the sense, Greg, that he's still trying to catch up a little bit from the late start in spring training. You know how he is. He's kind of hyper when he gets out there early. So I think it's great that he gets to go in front of the home folks. The home folks want to see their stud out there. A little inconsistent with his fastball against the Reds. The Reds seem to have his number for whatever reason, but he's done good work against the Detroit Tigers. He's 2-0 in 2 starts against Detroit.
Clint Hurdle would like to get some length out of Garrett Cole because that bullpen is taxed. Meanwhile, Jordan Zimmerman, outstanding debut in a Tigers uniform over the New York Yankees. He goes today for the Tigers.
And he's got outstanding control. He throws the ball absolutely exactly where he wants to throw it. So you might see maybe a little different approach from the Pirate hitters in that they've been trying to extend at bats, and they want to get base runners, they want to get hits, they want to get walks. But if you fall behind on a control pitcher like Jordan Zimmerman, you're going to find yourself in a hole. So you might see them going a little bit early, a little early aggression against the Detroit starter this afternoon.
Pirates have seen Zimmerman twice in the past and beaten him twice. It is Military Thursday here at PNC Park. The Pirates wearing their camo jerseys. They look to beat the Tigers in the finale of this 4-game home-and-home series. The Pirates and the Tigers are coming up next.
Pirates Baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by Allegheny Health Network, Health for All. By Bordas & Bordas, official legal partners of the Pittsburgh Pirates. Visit bordaslaw.com. And by Day Automotive, we're gonna make your day. Let's go Bucks!
Back here at PNC Park, Pirates getting ready to take on the Tigers. There is Rob Scahill. He has joined the team today. Corey Lupke goes on the disabled list with a hamstring issue. Pirates brought up A.J. Schugel, purchased his contract and added him to the roster yesterday instead of Rob Scahill. And Scahill was on paternity leave, but Scahill now up. That bullpen has been taxed, so Garrett Cole going to try and again give Clint Hurdle and the Pirates some length today.
And how about A.J. Schugel last night? Really pitched well enough to stick around, as it will. So that was a good opportunity for him.
On to starting lineup for the Detroit Tigers under Brad Ausmus. Ian Kinsler, Justin Upton, the last 3 games is hitting .462. Miguel Cabrera bats third, cleanup hitter. In right field, it should be J.D. Martinez. In right field, Nick Castellanos at third. Tyler Collins is in center. And it's Bobby Wilson, Andrew Romine, and Jordan Zimmerman against Garrett Cole.
All the information you need to know about Garrett Cole brought to you by Hyundai. Last time out, 4 2/3, 5 hits, 3 runs. A couple of them came in the first inning as he was getting his footing, first start of the season. So we look for more from Garrett Cole. He has spoiled us to that anticipation, and look for him to get back on the right foot this afternoon.
He is 2-0 against the Tigers, 2 career starts, both last year. His battery mate is Chris Stewart.
Can you hardly see him with the camouflage everything?
No. John Jaso, Josh Harrison on the right side of the infield, Jordy Mercer, David Freese on the left side, and that trio of Marte, McCutchen, Polanco in the outfield left to right.
Chest protector, shin guards, the whole deal. I hope Garrett can see the signals.
Well, that's good to see, though. That's sunshine, isn't it?
Oh, man.
Beautiful day. It's getting warmer every day.
Yep, yep. Spring is here. Spring has finally arrived. We had a preview up in Pittsburgh in the month of March. Garrett Cole last year 19-8, 9-3 here at PNC Park. He's done good work in his interleague work, 7-2. Ready to go.
Ian Kinsler off to a .355 start, homered last night off of Ryan Vogelsong. A nice job by Vogelsong. Late decision to start him with Francisco Liriano, the hamstring discomfort, and Vogelsong gave the Pirates 5 solid innings. Ball 1 underway, and it's 1-1 now on Ian Kinsler.
And we look at Garrett Cole almost every time he starts to see how he is, how his demeanor is on the mound in the first and second inning. Until he gets comfortable, relaxes a little bit. Certainly nothing wrong with the velocity.
And he's out in front, 1-2.
That one, 93 miles an hour. Garrett gets the call, perhaps. Those 50-50 deals. 93 miles an hour, and he'll stretch that out to mid to upper 90s.
Struck him out looking.
Yep, went to the breaking ball. Call, strike 3. Good way to start. Nicely done after the fastballs. Kind of a backdoor breaking pitch that does come in and get a good piece of the plate. No argument from Kinsler.
Rivers Casino tips to win.
Calm, Cole, early. You want to see him out there just kind of comfortable, and then get Zimmerman early in the count, or else you'll fall behind and the advantage swings over to him.
And an early game. There's a line drive to right field. 1 pitch, 1 out. Justin Upton retired. Polanco makes the play. Two up, 2 down for Garrett Cole. Home plate umpire is the crew chief, Jerry Meals. Ron Kolpa at first, Gabe Morales at second, Paul Nauert at third. They have been with us this entire series, starting on Monday in Detroit. And Cabrera fouls it out of play. He was 1 for 4 last night, 2 for 10 in this series.
Try to up the side leg.
We are assuming that speed will go up for Cole. That was 92 miles an hour.
95.
Yeah. Thank you, Garrett. Actually, Ryan Vogelsong got some swings and misses upstairs against some of the Detroit hitters last night. Might be something that Garrett took note of.
See what they decide to do here. Go off speed now.
Set up outside.
Nope. Chased a high fastball, and that is an early indication that Garrett Cole is on his game. 1-2-3. PNC Park on a beautiful day for baseball. Along the shores of the Allegheny River, and we check out the Toyota starting lineup. And it looks like this. John Jaso, Andrew McCutchen, David Freese, 1-2-3. Cleanup hitter Starling Marte with Gregory Polanco following. Josh Harrison follows Polanco. Bottom third, Mercer Stewart Cole against Jordan Zimmerman.
This 29-year-old right-hander out of Auburndale, Wisconsin. His line against the Yankees was terrific. 2 hits, no runs given up. He is 0-2, as opposed to Garrett Cole being 2-0 against Detroit. 0-2 against the Bucks. Control, great control. Walk 3 in that first start, but again, it's the first start of the season. Yeah, it is perfect. Great setting, and you anticipate a whole lot of pitching going on. And great to see your stud come out and be so impressive in the top of the first inning. Cole with a breaking ball and a fastball for strikeouts.
Susie Cool, the cool play. Jaso pulls it past Cabrera. They overshift him with 3 infielders on the right side. We have seen Jaso go the other way several times early going in this season. Jaso 3 for 8 in this series. Started last night's ball game with a line single off the base of the Clemente wall and scored the first run of the ball game. Pirates got out to that early 2-0 lead. Jaso the other way, but out of play.
Looks like because it's a day game following a night game, he didn't have a chance to do a whole lot with his hair this morning.
No, that's right.
Kind of rushing to get to the ballpark. It is still quite stylish.
Zimmerman fans Jaso. 1 up and 1 down.
That really good control gets him to go out and get a swing at something he really couldn't do much of anything with.
Andrew McCutchen 1 for 4 RBI double in the game last night. 2 for 13 in the series against the Tigers. They pitched him tough. His double came in the 8th inning, cut the Tigers lead to 5-3, but Corey Lupke gave up 2 in the 9th, and the Tigers won it by a 7-3 score. And McCutchen disappointed by that call from Jerry Meals.
Good looking slider. I don't know if it wound up outside the grid or not, but kind of a pitcher's pitch.
And he strikes out McCutchen, frustrated by that previous call. Just tell by his body language, he did not like that strike call.
His high fastball, 94 miles an hour, up out of the strike zone. So he went from the slider down and away to high fastball and got Andrew to chase.
But not only have the Tigers done a nice job pitching to McCutchen this series, but they've gotten McCutchen out on strikes. It's 4 of the last 5 at bats. And going back to the game in Detroit, this ball hit well the other way, a line drive base hit for David Freese. Two-out single for Freese.
He's going the opposite way, pushing it out into right field.
Now Starling Marte with 2 down and Freese aboard. Marte has 4 hits and 12 at bats in this Tigers series, batting .306 on the young season, and lines it to center field and a base hit. 2 on, 2 outs for Gregory Polanco. Well, Zimmerman has faced the Pirates twice in the past. The Bucks have beaten him both times. 1 start here last year.
Yep, 13 wins for the Nationals last year.
Correction, 2 years ago he pitched against the Pirates here and suffered the loss.
A little bit vulnerable to the long ball. 33 starts last year, 24 home runs. Just thought we'd mention that with Polanco up with plenty of power.
0 for 4, drove in a run last night on a fielder's choice. He's got 5 ribbies. Seeing the ball well, Gregory Polanco. In addition to 5 RBI, 286 batting average, 8 hits and 25 at bats. He's walked 10 times. So his on base percentage is 10th best in the league.
Zimmerman trying to tease him with that delivery on the outside part of the plate, as he did with pitch number 1. And guys that have good control can afford to do that. They'll try to get you to go for something borderline, knowing that they have the kind of control they can come back and throw strikes in a given at bat. See where Wilson sets up. Away again. And look like maybe a little backdoor breaking pitch.
Look at Polanco. Since 1913, Pirates with the most walks in the team's first 9 games. George Grantham walked 13 times in 1929. McCutchen 2 years ago had 10 walks, as did Don Hoke in 1960. 2 balls and 1 strike. Prefer to drive the ball to the gap here, but he'll take whatever they give him, and it's 3-1.
That's a good take. Breaking ball just missing. Don Hoke on that '60 World Championship team. Remember his nickname? The Tiger.
Well,
they all had a nickname.
Here we are playing the Tigers.
Yep.
Just missed on the W.B. Mason strike zone. At number 4, down low. 3-1. 2 on, 2 out. And it is ball 4.
Look at that grid where they worked him, and he worked him outside. Very good at bat for Gregory Polanco, not taking the bait on those outside deliveries.
Loaded up for Jay Hay.
And here's a guy that likes to go after first pitch in the at-bats. Go after that first one. Let's see if he...
That's Steve's tip, one of his 2 tips to win. Early in the count, Jeff Branson, Pirates hitting coach, looking on. Harrison was 0 for 4 last night, and he does swing at the first pitch and lines it into the seats right field side.
Yeah, and you take a look at that pitch speed, 95 miles an hour. You combine 95 with really good control, and that's why you get that kind of contract that Zimmerman got. And that was very vulnerable right there in the middle of the strike zone. But again, it had enough steam on it. A lot of control pitchers don't have that kind of speed.
Harrison 3 for 11 in the series.
Pirates got on the board early in the first inning last night, but didn't do much after that. Got another opportunity here this afternoon.
And a couple of strikes on Jay Hay, who after the Pirates scored those 2 runs in the first inning last night. They had runners at first and third, and he struck out against Shane Green. Another look, and
not happy with that.
What? That's a strike.
Yep, that's a perfecta.
0-2.
Might as well take it, Josh. You're not going to do much with that one.
He taps it foul. Started with 2 outs. David Freese singled to right center. He's now at third base. Starling Marte singled to center field, and Gregory Polanco drew the walk. So they are loaded, but Zimmerman a chance to get out of it with 2 strikes on Josh Harrison. His career with the bases loaded, 240. No grannies. And still 0-2 as he battles Zimmerman.
And see, that's what happened. Zimmerman got out in front 0-2, and that forced Josh to take a swing at a tough breaking ball out of the way that he fouled down the first baseline, and then take a swing because there's 2 strikes at a high fastball that really you don't have a chance to do much with. That's the advantage of getting out in front 0-2.
See the pitch
There's
upstairs.
the evidence.
Yeah.
Yep.
And bounce to the shortstop, so Zimmerman gets out of it. After 1, 0-0. Scoreless through 1. Home plate umpire and crew chief Jerry Meals calling some pitches that Josh Harrison and Andrew McCutchen weren't happy with. You can see that they are livid with a couple of calls that were strikes, as we showed you on the WB Mason strike zone. They were perfect pitches from Zimmerman, but both McCutchen and Harrison really upset with Jerry Meals.
Well, not much you can do when they're strikes.
Yep.
I told you about Zimmerman's control. It's that fine.
Garrett Cole looked just fine in that first inning. 1, 2, 3, struck out a couple. Here's J.D. Martinez, 7-game hitting streak to start the season for Detroit. 2 for 4 last night. 8 hits and 13 at bats in the first 3 games of this series. And for the year, batting .448.
These Tiger lineups have always been very productive. Breaking ball from Garrett. He struck Kinsler out with a breaking ball and then came back and got Miguel Cabrera to chase a high fastball. Nice to see both pitches being effective in the first inning.
1 and 2. Brad Ausmus celebrating his 47th birthday today, 3rd year as manager of these Detroit Tigers. Took over for Jim Leyland. And did he go? Yes. That's 3 strikeouts for Cole through the first 4 Tiger hitters.
Yep, and again, out in front in the count, that forces people to chase. Hard for them to take call third strikes. So in this day and age of early swing starts, you're going to have these kind of things happen.
Cole faces Nick Castellanos. .269 batting average for the third baseman.
Nothing like 0-1. 0-1, strike 1. The only thing better is 0-2.
Yeah.
And then, of course, goes on and on.
Sounds simple, Steve, but it is so true. That 0-1, it's so critical.
Yep.
For pitchers.
Yeah, it makes you feel good. It sets up your advantage for that moment in the at-bat.
Puts the opposition on the defensive. There's 96 from Cole. Castellanos able to foul it away.
It's just hard to lay off real speed upstairs when you're behind in the count.
Cole wanted that out of the zone. He was upset with himself. And Castellanos just gets a piece of that. Cole slips off the mound. We are liable to see the grounds crew between innings.
Yep. It looked like it happened after that front foot hit. Turned on his ankle a little bit, perhaps. Still became a very good delivery.
Another 0-2 pitch. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
You know, every eye on the training staff was watching that delivery right there. A lot of eyes, not just the training staff.
19-game winner last year.
Upstairs again.
A piece of it, fouled it off. Didn't intend to.
A little sequence, that breaking ball down and away, and then fastball up and in. It's out of the pitcher's handbook. That's what you call getting jammed upstairs. Almost hit his fingers. Back away.
Popped him up. Lazy fly ball. Polanco. 2 outs. Brings up Tyler Collins. Well, fireworks will light up the sky Saturday night here at PNC Park. Watch the Buccos against the Brewers at 7:05 after the game. The spectacular Zambelli Fireworks Show will be presented by First Energy. For tickets, go to pirates.com. It'll be the middle game of the 3-game series against the Brew Crew. They're in town starting tomorrow night. At the fireworks show following the game on Saturday night and a kids Sunday. And then the Pirates are on the road for 10 games. So get your tickets now. Watch these Pirates as Tyler Collins takes a strike. And he pops this ball up. Mercer out, coming in Marte. 6 up, 6 down for Garrett Cole. 0-0 after 1.5. Allegheny Health Network injury updates. Jung Ho Kang coming along. He's been on the 15-day disabled list, recovering from that surgery on the knee, going back to that play in September last year. He has been cleared all baseball activities. He played 5 innings yesterday with no restrictions. He'll soon be assigned to a minor league rehab. And again, that timetable late to mid-April. Looks like it's going to be later in the month. But all systems go for Jung Ho Kang. Jordy Mercer takes ball 1.
It was interesting the way it originally came out, late to mid-April.
Yeah.
Usually it's the other way around. So they're saying late April, we could get lucky and it could be earlier.
Ground ball headed up the middle, shortstop. Nice pick there by Romine. They've got a slick fielding shortstop in Jose Iglesias, but here Andrew Romine ranges far to his left, a utility player.
Good play. Went quite a ways for this ball. That's an awkward throw. You're extended that way, and then you've got to kind of throw it back and hope you've picked out the right line of fire.
Boy, he sure did.
Yeah, and he did. Nice play.
Chris Stewart back behind the dish with Cole on the mound. He made his first start on the recent road trip in Cincinnati. Chris Stewart, his first Pirate home run on Sunday. It was the game that Jeff Locke pitched. It was his first homer in the major leagues since August 20th, 2013, when he was with the New York Yankees. And it's 1-2. Cole on deck. Of course, they teamed up a lot last year. Home run, Chris Stewart. Came in the 2nd inning. It was off Tim Melville. And it was no cheapie. And of course, the silent treatment, but Stewart wasn't going to put up with it for long. He said, come on, let's go. Had a big smile, and he went after them. First man to greet him there, Garrett Cole.
That's not silent for long.
But it was interesting that Glenn Hurdle hinted that he would team them up again this year, starting last Saturday when Cole made his debut, but instead Francisco Cervelli talked him into starting.
Bobby Wilson takes a shot there. Right forearm, right wrist. You're going to want to take a look at that, make sure he's all right. Brad Ausmus, manager, knows what it's all about back of home plate. No protection there.
First start for Bobby Wilson. The Jared Saltalamacchia having to start these games with the injury that occurred to James McCann the other day in a collision at first base with John Jaso. McCann on the disabled list, right ankle sprain.
Former catcher there looking on. Off the glove, off the forearm. Even those tosses back after he had a chance to throw a couple didn't look extremely comfortable for him. That's hurting.
Brad Ausmus knows a little bit about that. All those years behind the dish, 18 seasons for Brad Ausmus.
Okay.
3 Gold Gloves. And again in his 3rd year as manager of the Tigers. Chris Stewart at the plate, a 2-2 count. And another foul. Zimmerman. His his approach against Stewart.
And he comes in when he wants to. You notice you saw no dots or numbers in the middle of the strike zone from Jordan Zimmerman. Four straight years of double-figure wins for Zimmerman. 13, as we said, last year.
Drafted by the Washington Nationals out of a little Division III school. It's popped up, and they will finally retire Stewart. Miguel Cabrera in foul territory, 2 down.
Justin Verlander got roughed up by the Pirates first game of the series in Detroit. I didn't see much of the former velocity we used to see from.
And we had heard
Verlander.
he was close to that 100-mile-an-hour range, but it was mid-90s, maybe a couple 96s the other day. They were encouraged by his recent bullpen session, more with the breaking stuff. Garrett Cole 0 for 2, and Cincinnati takes a strike.
And there was his pitch right there. If he had been guessing fastball. And again, if he had been guessing fastball. I don't even know if pitchers will admit to guessing when they're up at the plate.
Zimmerman thought that should have been strike 3.
Good
outside,
take.
yeah. And there's strike 3. Third K for Zimmerman, and a 1-2-3 second. Nothing on to the third.
Pirates Baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by the all-new Chevy Malibu and your Western PA Chevy dealers. And by Barrel. Check out barreltires.com and never overpay for tires again. Let's go Bucks!
We are back. Sun-splashed afternoon here in Pittsburgh. 0-0 onto the third inning. Pirates Tigers. Our Barrel league leader stat here. Fewest games to 40 career wins for the Pirates since 1913. Garrett Cole, just 73 games. Jerry Royce accomplished that feat in 77 games. Before that, go back to the early 1900s. And Al Mau, John Candelaria took 78 games in 1977. Lee Meadows in 1925.
40-21. Really a great foundation to just take off from. Not that he didn't make a big step last year with those 19 wins.
Bobby Wilson, trainers checking in on him when he came into the dugout. Lines this to right field. Polanco, wow, started in, had a little bit of trouble and adjusted. Ball started to carry on him.
Yeah, a little drama involved there. And the wind is not doing a heck of a lot.
Any concern at all for you, Steve, that the Cole has gotten the 3 strikeouts, but the other outs recorded in the air?
Not so much, because he's a power guy. Most of the power guys aren't the sinker type of guys that they hit the top of the ball. They'll go upstairs because they can throw hard enough to get away with it. People pitch downstairs because they don't throw hard enough. He throws hard enough. So it's not alarming. Now, if during the course of the 5th, 6th inning you start losing some speed and you stay upstairs, then you have a chance to get hurt. But, I mean, he's a stud as a pitcher. He's built like a stud too. So usually strength and endurance during the course of a baseball game usually is not a major factor.
Falls behind Andrew Romine, switch hitting utility player.
And you want to dispatch him. You don't want Zimmerman up there bunting. But he falls behind 3-1.
Romine got an at-bat last night, struck out in the 9th inning against Neftali Feliz. This is in the air deep to left center field over McCutchen. And a lot of room to roam for those Pirates outfielders. And you can really see it for the first 10 games now, how shallow compared to last year they are playing, in particular McCutchen. I mean, this was so different, Steve, than last year.
Yeah, yep, they're playing them cheap. Try to cut off what they can in front, and then relying on their speed. All 3 of them can fly. So they've got a lot of room to run full speed, especially center, left center, straightaway left field. They know that they can go full speed without being concerned about the wall for a while, because they've got a ways to go.
Rick Sofield is the Pirates outfield instructor, standing there next to Matt Joyce. They approached Andrew McCutchen and all the outfielders over the offseason and discussed it.
You know, you wanted that out right there with Romine. He fell behind 3-1 because you want to keep things as tight as you possibly can this afternoon, because you figure it's going to be a pitcher's game. And you don't want to lose him and then Zimmerman bunt him over and they get a cheap run. And he eliminated that possibility for the moment by coming back and getting Romine. That's a subtle, little important out. Talked about Cole having 40 career wins. Zimmerman has 70.
Two check swing. They thought maybe Zimmerman had offered. That's Ron Kolpa over there.
You like to think that these kind of things are just a delay to
the inevitable
retiring Zimmerman.
Yep, you're right. 4th K, and it's 9 up and 9 down. First time around for Garrett Cole. 0-0. Head to the bottom of the 3rd. Day automotive this day, Pirates history. 2013, Pirates come back from a 5-run deficit, beat the Reds. Michael McHenry got the comeback started. Solo homer in the 7th, tied the game with a 2-run shot in the 8th off Jonathan Broxton. Starling Marte later homered, put the Pirates on top for good. Bucks beat the Reds 10-6, April 14, 2013. And a lot of thrilling comebacks over the last handful of years. The turnaround for this organization started, you could go back really to 2011. When you could start to see the winds change, really, because Pirates were around the first place in the division during the All-Star break. Clint Hurdle had arrived, and Jaso, a fly ball here toward center. Collins, 1 out. And then 2012, remember that, Steve? The great collapse of September.
Yep.
Cruising through August. And they put a full season together in 2013. Went to the playoffs for the first time in 21 years.
That September collapse, and compare that to last year's September when the Pirates just finished red hot to take them up to 98 wins.
98 wins, 6th highest total in team history. McCutchen struck out his first time up and has struck out in 6 of his last 7 at bats.
And the usual strike one from Zimmerman.
Francisco Liriano checked it in with him today, said he feels good. We'll know more in his next side session, hoping he just misses that one start.
A couple high fastballs back to back. And let's see what he tries to do with Andrew here. Way out away. Yep. Missed his spot badly there. Takes it to 2-2. Zimmerman, an all-star in 2013 and 14, author of a no-hitter back in September of 2014.
That was a 1-0 no-hitter, 10 strikeout performance, 1 walk over the Marlins, and the big assist went to Steven Souza, that left fielder who had come in as a defensive replacement in the 9th, made that diving catch when Christian Yelich of the Marlins, with 2 outs in the top of the 9th inning, drove that ball to the left center gap, threatening to break up the no-hit bid. What a finish to that classic no-hitter, the first in Nationals history and the first in Washington, D.C. since 1931. Dribbler, and McCutchen realizing that had some English on it, but will spin foul off to the right.
How about a 1-0 no-hitter as that game goes on? I mean, there's no cushion or anything. It can go from no-hitter bid to you getting beat. And so many times we've seen that guys are going on no-hitters and a string are going and nothing happening for 7 innings, but the other pitcher is doing pretty well but gets no attention, and then all of a sudden with an at-bat or a couple of bats, it turns upside down. It's happened. All of a sudden you go from dominating a game to being on the bottom end of the score.
And there's a free pass with 1 out.
Yep. So a couple of free passes. Polanco with a good job of making Zimmerman work, and now Andrew stretching it out.
5-year, $110 million contract for Jordan Zimmerman, signed over the winter by the Tigers. First pitcher to reach the 9-figure contract after undergoing Tommy John surgery. That was in August of 2009.
One of many large checks the Tigers wrote last offseason.
David Freese singled with 2 outs in the first. And the Tigers once again in the top 5 in payroll. Ball and 1 strike.
So a little out of character for a couple free passes. Career-wise, Zimmerman, I mean, I won't keep harping on this, almost a 5-to-1 ratio, strikeouts to walks career-wise, and that's absurd. It's so good. That's Maddox-like. like, but nothing will compare to Maddox, I don't think.
It was Clint Hurdle pointing out that statistic about that 124 straight starts, not having walked 2 straight batters. Last time he walked 2 consecutive batters was in the 7th inning of a game against the Phillies in May of 2012. He walked Cole Hamels and Jimmy Rollins back-to-back. I'm not sure, though. I'd like to study that statistic because I'm not sure any real good pitcher in the big leagues. How often do you see back-to-back walks from really good pitchers in the major leagues?
Well,
it's rare, isn't it?
Well, I had 124 where I walked 2 in a row. 124 straight games where I did. Seemed like, but you're right. I mean, yeah, that's a funny kind of a number.
That's a ground ball slowly hit and a throw to first base. I think Romine had a chance for 2. He decided maybe in his head early on that if the ground ball weren't hit real hard at him, that he was going to go to first regardless. But it looked as though he hit a shot at McCutchen, and then they would have had an opportunity to turn 2.
Yeah, and even if you don't get 2, a tight game like this, which you think is going to continue, getting the lead runner.
He definitely, I think he gets 2.
Well, certainly Kinsler was expecting some action. Of course, he had to be over there anyway, just in case.
Jose Iglesias getting a day off. Romine, who made a nice play on Jordy Mercer in the 2nd inning, ranging far to his left, decides to throw to first. See if Starling Marte can make the Tigers pay for that.
Yeah, you'd love to see him get a base hit, score the run, because in this kind of game, who knows, 1 might be enough. Not likely, but there are 1-0 games. Andrew McCutchen getting all the lead he wants. Kinsler would be over there momentarily, but he leaves the watchman's post of keeping an eye on McCutchen kind of early, and Andrew can keep sliding if he wants to without much risk. And with 2 outs, would be going on contact anyway, so single's going to get you a run.
2-1. Polanco on deck. Marte single to center field in the first off Zimmerman. And a bouncer to short. And a drop. 2 drops. That'll be an E6.
After making a good play earlier on Harrison, Romine's not able to get a handle on this one. Just gets down on the fingers of the glove and a couple of grabs and need to get a stick and beat it to death.
Maybe a mental mistake for Romine on the ground ball hit by Freese, and the physical error on the bouncer hit by Marte. Could argue that the Tigers should have been out of the inning on the ground ball by Freese, so the Pirates get yet another chance with Polanco.
Might have been looking up where he's going to throw it, thinking about Marte's speed. Lost track of it, perhaps.
Andrew Romine, his brother Austin, a Yankee. His dad played in the big leagues a number of years with the Red Sox. Gregory Polanco walked in the first. Two 2-0.
Almost seems like Zimmerman's control is just a little bit out of sorts. Now it's a nice position for Polanco to be in.
Close play.
And a pretty quick move.
They test Bobby Wilson. There he goes. Foul back. Marte off on the pitch. Billy Murillo. High home cameraman.
Yep.
Whoa.
Actually, Billy could have made a play on that and didn't.
There he is.
Yep. Not a great try, Bill, but we know your heart's in it.
Physical or mental error?
Yep.
Steve?
Yep.
Yep.
Both.
He and many others did the hockey last night. Consol, the Penn's Rangers. So working on very little, if any, sleep, our crew. You'd never know it, though, right?
No,
Billy was here bright and early.
Yep.
Had your place all set up for you. Got you a media guide.
Well, that's why they're champions.
Yeah.
Guys.
Two and two on Polanco. And again, Marte takes off.
It would be nice for Polanco to catch a gap and see if he could catch Marte, and the answer is no, but it'd be fun to watch him trying.
23rd pitch of the inning coming up.
All kind of speed involved with the Pirates on the bases and at the plate. "60 pitches delivered to this point."
A lot of concern trying to nab Marte. Allegheny Health Network Supermo shows you this was pretty close. Close. 3-2, and Marte bluffed going that time. And now he definitely will be off on this pitch. Decided to shut it down. Perhaps slipped. And a ground ball to the shortstop. And Romine on to first and gets the out. Andrew Romine involved in the last 3 plays, and Zimmerman gets out of it.
It's time for the Toyota RAV4th inning. The all-wheel drive RAV Hybrid has performance that will make you rethink hybrid. Let's go Bucks!
0-0 onto the 4th inning. Here at PNC Park, where Pirates fans meet Tiger fans.
Baseball fans.
Bucco fans. Homestand continues tomorrow night. Free Shirt Friday, Saturday night, the fireworks, and Sunday afternoon, a kids' Sunday. Weather-wise, getting better every day. Back to the top of the order, Ian Kinsler.
Yep, if there are fireworks, Bucks must be in town. Saturday night. Should be fun. It will be fun.
Strike one.
Cole's been just fine so far. 9 up, 9 down.
First pitch strikes, 7 of the first 10.
Yep.
Back to your theme, the early theme.
And that one didn't miss much, if it did miss. Just want to get one ground ball out so the infielders can feel like they're part of it, like they're involved. Either a strikeout or a fly ball so far.
And stays 1-2 on Kinsler.
Understandably a little late at 96 miles an hour. So far, it's been Cole more efficient pitch count wise than Jordan Zimmerman.
Broken his bat, shallow left center field, and that falls into no man's land. Ian Kinsler has the first hit of the game for the Tigers.
Didn't get a lot of it, but right neighborhood. That jammed him, but they'll just push it out into left center field.
Kinsler's 4th hit and a dozen at bats in this 4-game series. Now Cole get that ground ball. Justin Upton line to right in the first.
Work from the stretch for the first time.
I wonder if the Tigers will test the running game. Chris Stewart behind the plate. Talking to him before the game about the relationship he has with Cole. He downplays it. He says, I think it's just, it works because it gives the backup catcher a chance to give the starting catcher, in this case Francisco Cervelli, a day off once every 5 days. So he was teamed up with Cole last year. And he said he's been there before when he was with the Giants. He teamed up with Tim Lincecum, and with the Yankees with CC Sabathia. 1-1 on Justin Upton.
And both Stewart and Cole have to keep track of Kinsler. He's closing in on 200 career stolen bases, so he will go. Of course, as the game goes along, if it keeps on going like it's going, scoreless, eventually somebody will have to take some risks, push a little bit.
Last year, opponents stole 25 bases against Garrett Cole. 10 of the 35 attempts were caught stealing.
And we saw a lot of work in spring training about just what Garrett Cole did. Vary the things that you can do. Come to your set position and stop and wait. And make everybody wait for you to step off or go quickly. Slide step, move to first. All kind of things you can do. Disrupt a rhythm for the base runner. And whatever you do, then quickly adjust your attention to the hitter. Do your business with the base runner and then direct your attention to the hitter.
Did he go? He did. Ron Culpa saw it from that angle. 2-2 on Justin Upton. of those additions Steve was talking about for these Tigers over the winter. 6-year, $132.75 million deal for this 28-year-old from Norfolk, Virginia.
Looked like Jerry Meals was almost ready to get that right hand up. Now we got a full count, nobody out.
On deck. Big pitch, 3-2 offering, and gonna do it again.
Yep, a little bit of a turning point perhaps, because if you lose Upton, then you bring Cabrera up there with 2 on, nobody out. You don't want to do that on a regular basis. That's not a good lifestyle. Get Upton out and go at him with 1 out. Becomes a battle.
Upton has struck out 13 times in his first 33 at bats this 2016 campaign, and he'll be looking at his 8th pitch in this at bat. Bounce to short. They get 1, and they do not get the double play. Doesn't hit hard enough. Upton, good speed, but it was close.
And Clint Hurdle might want to take a look at this as he'll look back in the dugout and see if we got any video information, and he decides there is not. Had a chance, but you're right that the speed of Upton, I thought.
I was surprised it was this close. That ball wasn't hit all that sharply, but it turned out to be really close at first base.
Yep, Pirates did a good job with what they had to work with. But he doesn't lose them. That close to clearing the bases. Now they still got to deal with Cabrera, but not with men on first and second.
Struck out Cabrera in the first. Miggy won another batting title last year. 4 of the last 5 years he's won a batting title. Hit .338 last season. Went on the disabled list for the first time in his career. Missed a career high 43 games.
Cole out in front, 0-1 again. Now you might get some big league batters to chase that big sweeping breaking ball, but well, this guy wins batting titles because he has that kind of discipline. Miggy, they call him, Miggy Cabrera.
Two balls and a strike.
You're out there as a pitcher saying, you know, he could have taken a swing at that. It was a pretty good looking pitch for quite a distance until it broke away. Cabrera's that good. Now Garrett perhaps gets a call, and Cabrera knows that. It's got to be frustrating for a good hitter too, when you know you're working against a real good pitcher and he gets a call like that. He's saying, you know, this guy doesn't need a call like that.
Doesn't have to say anything, by the way. Cabrera didn't have to say a word, knew exactly what he meant by stepping out.
Yep.
Big exhale. Not happy at all with the call. Toward the short fence and out of play. Still kind of looking. He might be saying something now to Jerry Meals. Jerry Meals, a Butler, PA native. Graduate of Salem High School in Ohio.
Back in the day, we used to talk about Eddie Vargo. 3-2. There were 2 events in the last
last several years that sped up the idea of replay in Major League Baseball. One was the Armando Galarraga near no-hitter in Detroit a handful of years ago, and the other was the call at home plate in Atlanta, 19th inning, July 26, 2011. Pirates Braves, and down on strikes goes Miguel Cabrera.
Nice selection, nicely delivered as they went away from the fastball, threw the slider, and got on the other side of Miguel Cabrera. Really nice work. They're coming inside, and now a dandy pitch down in the strike zone, but one you can't take, one you can't do much with. That's a big out, big out. Number 5 for Garrett. You know, when Cole throws that 95-mile-an-hour fastball, it doesn't look like some of the effort other pitchers have to put into a 95-mile-an-hour fastball, because he has the strength, the size to not have to labor many times.
1-1 on J.D. Martinez. Struck out in the second.
Well, Garrett working hard here to go through the lineup the second time. Put up another 0. Still working at it.
Upton stole 19 bases last year.
And we talked about Kinsler being a threat. Yeah, so is Upton.
Two and 197. As Cole cranks it up. Son of a Grand Rapids, Michigan native. His dad, Ron. An extended family from the Detroit area. 2-2 on J.D. Martinez. His dad moved to Southern California in 1977. Met his future wife Sharon. Garrett Cole, born in Southern California, went to UCLA. 3-2 now on J.D. Martinez. And 98. Clint Hurdle has talked about Justin Verlander years ago being the first guy he could recall who was able to dial it up as the game went on. And Cole, whoa, John Jaso not on the bag. Cole throws to first base, and Upton winds up at third. On 3-2, the first baseman normally does not cover first base because the runner is going 3-2, and miscommunication there.
Yep.
So looks
sometimes you just snap. Sometimes I've had that happen. You just make up your mind to throw it, and you throw it before you look. Or sometimes it almost feels like you look and you still throw it. It's an absolute. You're going to do it, and it gets done, and then it looks like that. It doesn't happen very often, but you get. And now you just got to collect yourself. Sometimes a pitching coach will come out after that and just, well, here comes Ray Searage. Yeah, you just got to have a word with him just to stop everything for a moment. And what you are, as much as anything, is embarrassed. You saw John Jaso move off the bag, and you know, when he moves off the bag, just simply flat can't throw it over there. So Garrett Cole is hot right now. even after the visit by Rays, you hope that you can take a deep breath and get back to business. No harm done at this point.
Driven deep to center field by Castellanos. And look at this off the wall. This is going to score a couple. And now heading to third base, Castellanos. Jaso gets over there. They've got him in the rundown and finally tag him out. He'll get the double and give the Tigers a 2-0 lead. Game, and what a bizarre occurrence in that top half of the fourth inning. Nick Castellanos doubles after the error by Cole, the walk, a double off the base of the wall, 2-run score, and then Castellanos is thrown out 8-4, 5-3-5 to end the inning.
Just a crazy sequence of events.
Castellanos slipping during the rundown. They checked on him. He's fine. Now the Pirates trailed 2-0.
Very frustrated, Garrett Cole. Very frustrated.
Toward right. And one out. Josh Harrison retired to start the bottom of the fourth. Bucks left the bases loaded in the first inning after Zimmerman struck out the first two, gave up back-to-back hits, walked Gregory Polanco, got Harrison to bounce out. He got a couple of breaks in the third inning after a one-out walk. They had runners at first and third, two down, but Gregory Polanco bounced out on a 3-2 pitch.
Just what we were talking about before, somebody can be dominant as Cole was, and the other guy kind of bouncing around, stumbling a little bit. Now he's ahead.
There's Romine with another nice play. Twice he's gotten Mercer ranging far to his left.
No chance for Zimmerman. His follow through was taking him just on the other side of the mound.
MLB.TV Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, delivers everything you have come to expect and more. Watch every out-of-market game live in HD on over 400 supported devices. Includes a free subscription to At Bat Premium. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details. 2 outs, nobody on, and here's Chris Stewart.
What was going through John Jaso's mind when that throw went over? It was actually a very good throw.
Yes.
Happened to be nobody there.
Two and two now on Stewart.
A bizarre situation that is startling, but it's 2 runs. It's what it is. But this ball game's certainly not over.
Something you just don't see very often. 3-2 count. First baseman usually backs off. Three and two the count here. At least try and get Cole up. But here's Romine again. And another 1-2-3 inning for Zimmerman. His second 1-2-3 frame.
Some day baseball. The UPMC scoreboard reads 2-0 Tigers. I'm Robbie. It's Mikowski. Well, Pirates farmhand Brian Hayes is playing his first full season of professional baseball, and he's doing it with the West Virginia Power. And he's only played a week of professional baseball so far, but when you look at him and the numbers so far, he's playing like a seasoned veteran. The numbers are quite impressive. He's leading all regulars on the West Virginia Power in batting average and has 3 doubles and 4 RBIs. Now, as for the aggressive push to full season baseball, just 19 years of age, Pirates farm director Larry Broadway said he believes he's ready to meet the challenges at that level. And after a week, obviously, he's showing that, Greg and Steve. Hayes was drafted by the Pirates last season in the first round out of high school in Tomball, Texas. Now, this has become somewhat of a theme for the Pirates. They take these kids, they'll play short season baseball the year they're drafted, then they put them in the full season ball at very young ages. They did it with Cole Tucker last season with the Power. They did it with Austin Meadows, Reese McGuire, and here they're doing it again with Brian Hayes.
And the fly ball to center. Thanks, Robbie. To see the minor leaguers off to a good start
That's Charlie's son, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, yeah, hitting like his dad.
Another guy that got off to a good start last night, his first start in a couple of years. Jameson Taillon for the Indianapolis Indians. 6 innings, 5 hits, 1 run, no walks, 6 strikeouts.
I always like to see those good control numbers. You know he has the power, got the arm strength.
Clint Hurdle said one of the first things he wanted to look at this morning when he arrived in his office was the reports on Taillon. And they were glowing reports.
We'll look to get those reports from Taillon and Tyler Glasnow.
Oh, look out. Stab by Cole. Hard hit back to the box.
Good reactions. These kind of things might get your mind off what happened last inning. That, okay, I got to react like that, or I did react like that. Maybe that clears the board. Pretty stylish when you think about it. Look at it for a couple times. Love to see him have a strong inning. He's 2/3 of the way there. Just distance yourself as much as possible from last inning. Sometimes you just go blank.
Nice little pickup there. That ball almost handcuffed Jordy Mercer. Those smooth, soft hands. He gets Romine 1-2-3. 2-0 Detroit. Tigers nothing. Go to the bottom of the 5th inning here at PNC Park, and Garrett Cole will lead things off, followed by John Jaso. And during the break, they talked about that very odd, unusual play. Yeah, I think, Steve, I could be wrong, but as I recall, it seems like the first baseman usually yells something to the pitcher before he backs off the bag, just to kind of let him know. I mean, it should be obvious, 3-2, but they usually yell something like, "Hey, I'm heading off the bag."
Yeah, yeah.
And then those
not
are the
all the
things.
time.
Wow, there's an angry-looking swing and a base hit for Garrett Cole. He gets up there and whacks it to left.
Yep. Look for that first pitch. I don't know. I wasn't looking to see what the pitch was, but you know, many times you go up as a pitcher. Let me guess. Fastball, first pitch.
Oh,
take a rip.
Turned on it.
Yeah. But You're right. Many times, not all the time. It doesn't happen all the time, but a lot of times the first baseman will go up and give you that arm across the arm.
And that will come with time. Jaso's done a really nice job. You know he's doing a good job defensively when we don't talk about it.
Yep.
It seems like for a while, Pirates have had some first basemen. It's been trouble with the glove over there. There's a ground ball off the glove.
Perfect. Go ahead, Garrett. Nope. Okay. All right. I got excited. Ball slowed down in center field, but you don't want to take any chance of running into that out at third base.
Romine
got a little
diving to his left, and the ball skips off his glove. First and second, nobody out.
Yeah, Garrett was far enough from second base where you don't want your pitchers taking a shot at getting involved with something at third base. Position players probably going to take off, but the Pirates are where they want to be right now.
Now it's McCutchen with 2 on and nobody out.
You'd love to make that incident at first base a moot point. Just have yourselves a big old inning.
Now the Tigers running through, wow, a bunch of defensive signals.
Well, you know Andrew ain't bunting.
Castellanos ran through all kinds of signals. And if they've got the third baseman in on the grass here with McCutchen, this would be a headline.
Yeah. Remember, Zimmerman a little bit vulnerable to the long ball. 24 home runs last year.
And he's playing even with the bag here.
Just missed.
Boy, he has done that about 6 times this week. Just missing a home run.
And everybody knows it. Zimmerman knows it. Andrew knows it better than anybody. He just had that kind of swing and just a little too far on the bottom of the ball. Looking for a pitch, gets it. He doesn't quite get it.
Frustrated.
We've had 2 Pirates extremely frustrated.
Freese lines it into left field. Rick Sofield will hold Cole at third. The bases are loaded. There have been 3 hard hit balls here off Zimmerman, starting with Cole's shot. Cole at third, Jaso at second, and Freese at first. Freese 2 for 3. Starling Marte has singled and reached on an error. Bases full of Bucks.
And you wonder, there are so many ball games where you have one big opportunity. Sometimes you'll have 2. On occasion, you'll have more than that. But you look back at ball games and see where you had the opportunities and you got it done, or you didn't get it done. Now you may not get more than this. We're in the 5th inning, but you are here, right here and now, with a chance to really do something.
1 and 2. They had a chance with 2 outs and the bases loaded in the first. Zimmerman was able to get Josh Harris into bounce to short. And then Andrew Romine decided to throw to first base on a ground ball by David Freese with McCutchen at first and 1 out. Instead of a double play, they settled for the 2nd out at first. McCutchen moved to second, and Romine committed an error on a Marte ground ball. But Zimmerman was able to get Polanco to ground out. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
And you're so anxious to do something positive right now in the batter's box, but you've got to keep the discipline. And Zimmerman wants to talk to Bobby Wilson.
Well, last time in a critical situation, Marte came to the plate with the bases loaded on the road trip in Cincinnati Friday night. Pirates in the 8th inning needed this. Comeback win, a grand slam, the first of his career. The Pirates won the game 6-5, down 5-2 in that 8th inning with 2 outs. Hit the grand slam off J.J. Hoover.
Discipline required here.
Ooh, boy, did he go. Wow, that was close. Very close, 3-2. Of course, last night, the grand slam was hit by Jared Saltalamacchia. Changed the outcome of the game. The Tigers catcher.
Late discipline delivered. Discipline required, late discipline delivered. And nothing changes here with this payoff pitch.
Popped him up. Wow, infield fly. He'll be out automatically, 2 down.
And that's what control, great control gives you. You don't have to give in and throw the fastball there. He threw in the slider, threw it in a good spot. He got a massive out, huge out. Could be a game saver right there. There's the breaking ball. And look at the perfection. I mean, that's a pitcher's pitch. And you can't take it, and you can't do much with it.
Now it's up to Polanco, who's walked and bounced to short. Need a clutch hit here. Ball 1.
Remember the first at bat, he toyed around with Polanco, toyed around, kept the ball away from him, almost every delivery away from that power, away, away, away. Worked Polanco, and then Gregory finally worked it for a free pass. They want it outside again. Yep.
2-0. Polanco saw 12 pitches his first 2 times up total. So this will be the 14th pitch he has seen from Jordan Zimmerman.
Yeah, he's ahead in the count. He does not have to take a shot at a borderline pitch.
He sees one he likes, and that's away. 3-0.
Yeah, you always ask the question, would he get a green light? And you're almost tempted to, because Zimmerman's control is so good. The guys with a great control would rather have somebody hit the ball than walk them. They just hate giving free passes up. But 3-0, it's tough. You don't want to help them out. You don't want to give them a cheap out.
What would you do if you're Clint Hurdle? Do you give Polanco a green light?
I don't think so.
Nope.
But there's an example. I mean, Zimmerman's going to want not to walk him. That's the worst thing that could happen to him. The good control guys are like that. So he throws a hittable strike, but it's an occasion that begs for the take. It's a thin line.
2 outs, 3-1 count, down 2 in the 5th. Cole, Jaso frees the runners. And he popped them up. Jordan Zimmerman is going to get out of it. The Pirates leave the bases loaded for a 2nd time today. They've left 8 in the first 5 innings.
Got him with the off-speed pitch again.
Our Penguins playoff coverage continues next week from Madison Square Garden as the Penguins take on the Rangers. Game 3 of the first round. See it here on Root Sports Tuesday starting at 6 with a special 1-hour pregame presented by Heritage Valley Health System. The Pens beat the Rangers last night at Consol, take a 1-0 lead the first round, and we should bring an expert in to ask what his thoughts. Hey, we happen to have one here.
Well, we got a young man. Yeah, a young man is going to audition for us a little bit. Yeah.
We've been calling him our colleague now. I hope that doesn't offend you, Doc.
No, are you
because
kidding?
We had Doc with us down in spring training a couple times, and
fun.
Just so much fun to see Doc Emmerich, big Pirates fan who made certain he got here early in time to see his Pirates this afternoon. Before we get to the Buccos, though, pretty nice win last night for the Penguinis.
Yeah, and it was great for Jeff Zatkoff. You know, there are guys in the clubhouse that I'm sure that silently you cheer for. You're for the whole team. But Jeff Zatkoff has been just a wonderful guy all through this season. He's been the third goaltender, never complained, and you wanted something good to happen to him, and it happened last night. And by the end of the night, the fans are chanting his name.
That is so cool.
What a good story.
Yeah, what a great night. What a great sound for him to hear, huh?
Yeah. Oh, look out, Cole. Where did that get him?
I hope it got a lot of glove. My goodness.
Ben Potenziano. Gets mostly glove and maybe perhaps glanced off his forehead, checking that.
It stops your heart. It just stops your heart.
Does it ever? That he was that quickly back to his feet is heartening.
Ben Potenziano, the assistant athletic trainer. Clint Hurdle there. Jordan Zimmerman, the Tigers pitcher, with one of the hardest hit balls of the day, right off of Cole. Should get a good look on the Allegheny Health Network Supermo.
Watch the glove. Does the glove come up? I don't know if that glove got any of it. Scary moment. I mean, a scary, scary moment.
Man, frightening. Take another look.
The glove, see the glove come up, but
no, I think you're right, Steve. I think it missed the glove entirely and actually hit directly off his forehead. Thankfully, it was a glancing blow.
Yep.
Man,
that came within inches of being tragic. Tragic, maybe inch. Well, helps having a big head of hair too, maybe.
Yeah. Somewhere Mark Melanson is probably thinking, remember those half caps we experimented with?
Yeah.
I don't know if it would have stayed on. It looked
gosh.
like his regular baseball cap did stay on and at the time that hit. But wow.
Juan Nicasio in the Pirates dugout was with the Colorado Rockies back in 2011, and he took a ball directly off the forehead. He's a member of the Rockies, and his head hit the mound so hard he ended up in surgery and missed the rest of that 2011 year, repairing a vertebrae in his neck. So 2-0 now on Kinsler following the line drive off the bat of Jordan Zimmerman. And this is interesting to see how you react after something like that.
Nice breaking ball there.
You know, how do you, I guess in sports, asking you, Doc and Steve, how does an athlete put something like that behind him?
Well, you thank goodness you're not injured, and then you try to get on the other side of it. Well, this is the perfect way to get on the other side of it. 6-4-3. Wow. You try to collect yourself and take a moment. You never have enough time to take the time you want to.
A little brush burn on the arm as well.
Steve, you remember any bad ones like that you had?
Yeah, I mean, I got hit. I never got injured. I never got really injured. But anybody that's been around long enough, you get shots back through the middle. And you know, I broke both thumbs trying to grab balls, you know, in the glove, sticking the glove in the ground or trying to grab. You have no idea how much English there is on a baseball that can come at you. But I got hit everywhere, but I never got hit in the head. You know, backside, I had a follow through that was kind of crazy. You don't think about it. You don't carry anything with it unless you get seriously hurt, and I never did.
Thankfully.
Thankfully, yes.
Man. There's the second hard comebacker to the mound. Bobby Wilson in the 5th inning hit a one-hop shot that Cole stabbed. And this one, Jordan Zimmerman lines it right back toward Cole. Did not get any leather on it. Thankfully, it glanced off his forehead and into center field. And he has come back to get the double play ball off the bat of Ian Kinsler, and now a 2-1 count on Justin Upton.
I will, now that I think about it, I have time to think. Joe Torre hit a ball off my elbow, right off the tip of my elbow, right below my elbow, that hit some soft tissue, and I missed 5 weeks. But there's another incident if we...
There's a line drive out toward Marte.
It'll be cut off very quickly. And I missed 5 weeks because of soft tissue. But then the last start I had in 1972, I had a chance for my 20th win, and John Miller hit a ball right off the elbow bone. And if it hits off the bone, it's either broken or you're going to be all right. And it wasn't broken, so I could start the first playoff game. But it's so scary because it really doesn't hurt a lot right away. But we took X-rays and everything, and it was really scary. The ball that Torrey hit off me wound up in the St. Louis dugout. And he wanted a double. He said, "Well, where'd it hit after it hit him?" But it is scary, and sometimes you just don't have time to react. It's just going to hit you.
That last pitch, 97 miles an hour to Miguel Cabrera.
But I did have some fun in the one in 72 because I went and got X-rays. I got knocked out. He hit me in the first inning. So it knocked me out of the game. And so I came back in the clubhouse and put all kind of bandages around my head and had a couple crutches and things and just had a good old time while the guys came in after the game. So it ended okay.
1-2 on Miguel Cabrera, who has struck out twice against Garrett Cole. 2 of his 5 strikeouts. He's given up the 2 runs on 4 hits.
Brownie, this is just remarkable that he got up that quickly and he's bringing heat like this without being stunned or without even thinking about it.
Well, there's an adrenaline factor too going on right now.
Good point.
But to control that adrenaline and to be able to throw the strikes that he has,
and put it aside as best you can, because there was an immediate heart rate in this whole ballpark when that happened. It's so abrupt.
Towards center field, McCutcheon on the move, and he makes the catch.
Good for you, Garrett.
Nice. Sigh of relief. We'll ask Doc Emmerich to stick around. A 2-0 Detroit lead. Detroit over the Bucks, going to the bottom of the 6th inning here at PNC Park. And Ray Searage, Pirates pitching coach, talking to Garrett Cole, and they may decide to go into the clubhouse and just go through some tests. We got a tweet, Point Park University tweet. Doc, you're just referring to these helmet caps. Prototypes are being tested out by some big leaguers, including Mark Melancon and Jared Hughes in spring training. Pirates make these look a bit cooler when you see a pitcher get hit in the forehead.
I don't know. I don't know about looking cooler.
Yeah.
Au contraire.
That's one of the reasons Mark Melancon said he really said, I not to be too vain, but not something I think I'm going to wear in a game. And a base hit for Jay Hay to start the bottom of the 6th inning. Jordy Mercer will come to the plate, getting bounced out twice to Andrew Romine. It was good to see Garrett Cole back in the dugout already after a quick trip down the runway, maybe into the clubhouse. A brief checkup.
Greg, we don't want Jordy Mercer to hit the ball to Romine anymore. He's made 2 very much above average plays on Jordy.
Well, this is only game 10, but I already have my favorite moment of this season already.
What do you got, Don?
And that was it not Mercer who ended the Cardinals game in the 11th inning?
Yep.
And you guys had 2 heaters up here. And you remarked at the end of the game that the fans stuck around.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Even though they may have been frozen solid, they stuck around. And it was good to beat the team from St. Louis.
What did you call them in spring training? The dreaded?
Evil
Cardinals.
Yeah.
Evil Empire.
Yeah. That's not to be misinterpreted.
Yes, I understand.
The folks from the Vatican.
That's right. That's right.
Altogether different group.
No question about that.
Okay.
There's Rob Scahill, just joined the club today. Corey Lukey going on the disabled list.
It's the best heater I've had in a while, I'll tell you that.
Oh, are you referring to the heaters that
kept us warm
that I purchased for Steve and me?
I was going to get some really good ones, but I'm glad you stepped in and got what you could.
Yeah.
And you're allowed to expense those, I think.
No. Neftali Felice joins Scahill. Doc Emmerich in the booth with us. He'll be calling the game coming up at Consol on NBC Sports, and thrilled to be here watching the Pirates.
Doc, I can imagine you've seen so many times where a team that you're announcing gets so many chances to score, and it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen, and just set yourself up beautifully. And the frustration level just keeps increasing because you know they're good opportunities.
Last night, Chicago had a ton of them, and they really overwhelmed St. Louis, but lost the game in overtime 1-0 when a bad angle shot went off a Chicago defenseman and in, and that was the game. But isn't that sports, though?
It is.
You just can't figure it out.
Sometimes
I mean, the LOBs up to 8 now.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, close indeed.
Sometimes it's not the number of hits you get; it's when you get them.
Yeah.
No, you're right.
It's, Zimmerman has shown a good quick move over to first base, and there have been some close ones.
Harrison, the pitch before, had taken a step and a half towards second, then he shut it down, and now he's checking on that right arm or shoulder.
He's not going to pitch. One of the weapons that pitchers have, just and it gets you very antsy over at first base if you're thinking about going, okay, when's he going to go? And it disrupts your running rhythm because you like to get the feel of the pitcher, what he's going to do time after time. And when they hold the ball, you really get nervous. You might go early, you might not. You might go late, you might not go at all.
Doc, don't you love the way Josh Harrison plays the game of baseball?
Oh, yeah.
Isn't he fun to watch?
Remember 2 years ago, it was a question of whether he'd be an everyday player?
Yes. Yep.
And then you came up with Jay Hay every day?
every day. And
after he came up with playing every day, right?
Became an all-star. Oh, strikeout looking. Mercer can't believe it. Of course, no love lost between the Pirates and Jerry Meals. Don't have to rehash it. That game back in 2011.
Again, Zimmerman goes with the off pitch.
That's a strike.
Speed. Yep. And we've seen it so many times, and he was frustrated before. Now he's out. He was out there barking about it. Zimmerman has made pitch after pitch, time after time, to keep the Pirates off the board.
And there goes Harrison. And the throw is not going to get him.
Yep.
Harrison had to hold that bag.
Right. Gabe Morales was looking around to make sure he didn't let go of the bag and lose contact. Pretty good jump. And the throw was just high enough to be just late enough.
First steal for Harrison as you watch him hold on to that bag. You understand the Pirates being a bit hesitant attempting to steal against these Tigers, who had thrown out 6 of 7 trying to steal this season before the J-Hay stolen base. And now Chris Stewart with a chance to get the Pirates on the board. 1 for 7 with men in scoring position so far today.
Now you wonder how this is going to play out, because Stewart represents the potential second out from the Tiger standpoint. If he is retired, what do you do with Garrett Cole? You know, he's pitched extremely well. He's pitched extremely well. The bullpen continues to work, and you take your shot. Again, manager's decisions. I wouldn't want him. I wouldn't want to have to make him.
It's what separates the leagues, Doc. This is a National League game. This is something that Brad Ausmus on most nights doesn't have to face, but Clint Hurdle does, with his pitcher pitching well on deck, down 2-0.
And you stand in that on deck circle as a pitcher. Do I want Stewart to get on, or do I want to hit him into a double play so I can continue?
Toward left field. Over is Upton, nearing the wall, and he will make the catch. Stewart, who hit his first Pirate home run in Cincinnati, flirting with his second in a week. And Cole had gotten to the batter's box, and he is called back. Matt Joyce is going to pinch hit.
Clint Hurdle has a man in scoring position. He wants to get back into this ball game, even if it's 1 run. He's going to take the chance, even though it costs him his starter. And now, discussion out on the mound for the Tigers. Pinch hitter, that's kind of the pattern of the day now. When you get a pinch hitter, the pitching coach will come out, a little scouting report on Joyce or Zimmerman. Is it Rich Doobie?
Yep.
Yep, pitching coach for the Tigers.
The Pirates will try and scratch out a run here with the lefty Ryan and the righty Verhagen.
Well, Zimmerman was magnificent on opening day. I mean, he made them forget about Verlander for a while.
Yeah, he shut down the Yankees.
Yeah, it was terrific, and I can see where they would really like what he's doing today, because he's getting the Pirates to pop out key situations too.
You live up that way, Doc, so you get a chance to see some Tiger games.
Yeah, I do. On television when you guys aren't on. There are priorities.
Choices to be made.
Yeah,
we know
right.
your choice.
That's right. They'd know a little about Joyce.
Yeah, one-time Tiger.
We're down in the stands the first couple of innings, and I'm wondering aloud, I wonder if Jim Leland's around today.
He was yesterday.
Yeah,
Was
I
he?
saw him yesterday, and I think he was here earlier today as well. Still works for the Tigers, special assistant.
And some work for Major League Baseball.
We're going to bounce out to second. Pirates will leave another runner, but certainly a pleasure seeing Doc Emmerich
Thank you
again.
so much.
We'll visit
Thank
again.
you.
Doc, best of luck in the playoffs.
Always,
Thank you.
Always.
Looking fast, turn it up to 10. Friday night, getting hype, it's the time again. Turn my hat.
Friday Night Rocks is back. Tune in for Friday Night Pirates games this season. Here are some of the best bands from around the burg during our broadcast, like this week's featured band, the Brighton Boys. Friday Night Rocks tomorrow when the Buccos take on the Brewers on Root Sports. 2-0 Tigers. Again, our thanks to Doc Emmerich. Such a joy to have him in the booth with us, albeit briefly. That one inning, he's bummed out right now. His Buccos trailing 2-0. Point Park University tweets about Doc Emmerich back in the Root Sports booth. Maybe the best non-Vin Scully announcer in sports. Ladies and gentlemen, Hockey Hall of Famer broadcaster Doc Emmerich is in the booth with the Bucks this inning. We got Doc Emmerich in the booth again. He loves him some Pirates. Let's go Bucks. And Rob Scahill returns to the Pirates mound.
Last year, good work, 28 appearances. ERA just a tad over 250. Try to keep the Tigers at bay. Some numbers for Martinez. Garrett Cole, 6 innings, a couple of runs, 4 hits. He walked a batter, struck out 5. But at this point, Jordan Zimmerman, who has not given up a run in his 2 first starts to this point. Great against the Yankees, great against the Pirates this afternoon so far.
There's Zimmerman.
Well over 100 pitches, I believe. He was in that neighborhood before.
3-2. Scahill pitched in one game at Indy. They just started their season at AAA Indianapolis, and then went on paternity leave. He and his wife Aurora expecting their first child. Scahill would have been the call-up yesterday rather than A.J. Schugel. And they made some moves, and he walks J.D. Martinez to start the 7th.
You just saw Verlander talking to Jordan Zimmerman on the bench, so we don't know if he's going to continue, but their bullpen is quiet.
Nissan Road ahead tomorrow. Brewers in town. Jeff Locke against Jimmy Nelson, 6:30 airtime. Saturday night at 6:30, it's John Neese on the hill against Taylor Youngman, and then Sunday afternoon it's Juan Nicasio opposing Zach Davies. It's Jeff Locke. It's a good ball game. First time out. Cincy has a line drive base hit for Castellanos, and it's 1st and 2nd. The Tigers set up shop.
Castellanos has been the problem so far.
It was the 2-run double by Castellanos off Cole in the 4th that broke the scoreless tie.
And now Stewart out to talk with Scahill. Everybody getting ready to do what they want to do in this bunt situation. Jaso wanting to talk to Scahill. Dave Clark, third base coach for the Tigers, going through his thing. So everybody trying to set the stage for what you'd expect to be a bunt opportunity.
Omar Vizquel over there, first base coach. 11 Gold Gloves, 26 years in the big leagues.
That's incredible.
2,709 games played at shortstop, most ever.
No, not bunting. Okay.
At least not on that pitch.
Could change pitch by pitch.
Tyler Collins, 6th round pick in 2011.
Nope. Well, there's a flurry of activity before this at bat, but so far no bunt attempt. Pirates playing up on the corners.
Hit hard, and that's a fair ball into the corner. J.D. Martinez is going to score. Castellanos is going to be held at 3rd on the double by Tyler Collins. 3-0 Detroit.
Never an indication of a bunt. And Tigers stretch it out, and they are very much in business. And an opportunity for them to really make a statement. Up and in and down the right field line. Super Mo, Allegheny Health Network, giving you that look.
Infield in now, and ill afford to give up any more. Bobby Wilson lined to right his first time up and hit a hard comebacker to Cole in the 5th. And this ball hit well deep to center field. McCutchen approaching the track. Sacrifice fly to deep center field. Makes it a 4-0 Tiger lead. And Collins able to tag and move to 3rd.
That ball was tattooed.
A walk, a single to left, a hard double to right, and a sacrifice fly against Rob Scahill. And this Pirates bullpen got off to a good start early on. First few ball games, but recently taking on a little water. Andrew Romine 0 for 2. Dave Clark, one-time Pirate. Runs to the signs over in the third base coaching box. Romine hit .255 last year with a couple of homers. 30-year-old Winter Haven, Florida native. Cahill.
Step in the right direction.
Gets him, but now we'll face Victor Martinez.
For the Tigers, number 41, Victor Martinez. For Zimmerman, Victor Martinez.
Well, pick your poison here. Ian Kinsler on deck, a right-handed batter. Switch hitting Victor Martinez, very dangerous.
And this all belongs to Rob Cahill. Nothing happening in the Pirate bullpen. .107 pitches for Zimmerman in his 6 innings of work. That gem against the Yankees when it went 7, he threw an even 100.
Victor Martinez, the DH. Jordan Zimmerman seated back there. And looks like Drew Verhagen will be coming on. Grounded to Jaso. Cahill gives up 2 runs. 7th inning stretch. Going to keep it here for take me out to the ball game. The Tigers up 4-0. Pirates will try and do some damage against Detroit's bullpen. As we move to the bottom of the 7th inning, it'll be the top of the Pirates batting order due up against Drew Verhagen. We head to the bottom of the 7th.
On Root Sports as we sing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game."
In Furniture, the official furniture and mattress supplier to the Pittsburgh Pirates. For the best quality, service, and value, shop Levin's. Let's go Bucks!
4-zip. 3 more shots at these Tigers.
Yeah, it's not out of range, but good to get rid of Jordan Zimmerman. He's gone.
How about his start to his Tigers career?
Yeah. 2 starts, he's not given up a run.
13 innings.
Drew Verhagen comes on. He has a win this year. Some good work for the Tigers last year. Had a cup of coffee in 2014, just one appearance, but last year 20 appearances, 2 wins, ERA flat 2.
Pirates saw him both games in Detroit. Pitched 2/3 of an inning in relief of Justin Verlander. Gave up a couple of hits and a walk. And that's lined toward right center field. John Jaso launches it into the gap. His second hit. He starts off this bottom of the 7th inning with a ringing double to right center.
Well, we'll try it again. We've had some opportunities. Down and in. That uppercut swings. It's a very sportive ride to right center field. Let's continue to put people on base.
4th double for Jaso. Leads the club early on. Pirates 1 for 9 with men in scoring position today. Andrew McCutchen hit a fly ball to left field in the 5th inning with runners at 1st and 2nd and nobody out. Walked in the 3rd. Struck out his first time up. Starling Marte is in the hole. Ball and 1 strike. 97 from Verhagen. Marte's had some chances. Polanco's had opportunities with men in scoring position.
Starling up there with bases loaded and 1 out. Popped out. Polanco followed him with the same. It's just frustration mounts.
1 hit in these situations can open the floodgates. Feel like it's coming, right?
Yeah, and you know they're capable. You saw it happen against Verlander in the first game out there.
And you have to do it the day after Adam Elmore's birthday. Our producer extraordinaire.
It's the least we can do for him.
Yep. Get word down to that bench, will you? It was Adam's birthday yesterday.
Happy birthday, Adam.
The great Adam Elmore. The top producers and all of sports. We're lucky to have him.
Third baseman David Freese.
I'm being told that all of sports might be a bit much.
I don't think so.
No, I really don't.
No, I think that's an exaggeration.
He's certainly one of the top 3 producers working a live sporting event in Pittsburgh
I'll
today.
tell you, he's one of the best I've ever worked with.
Yeah, today.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
0-1, 2 on, nobody out. Happy birthday today to Nate March, by the way, the broadcasting director for the Bradenton Marauders. Pete Rose is 75 today. How about that?
All-time hits leader, Charlie Hustle.
1-1 on Freese. Double play ball. It's been that kind of day.
Crusher.
2 outs, Jaso to 3rd. Double walk, double play. 2 outs here in the 7th. It's frustrating for everybody. They have these opportunities. They squander them. Got to keep battling. Freese, the former Cardinal. Remember a couple years ago, the Cardinals set records hitting with runners in scoring position. One and one.
Yeah, when you're going good, even a ground ball like Freese just hit will go through a hole, just a routine ground ball. It'll go through the hole. When you're going bad, you can line drives and they're at people. It's good to keep swinging, keep swinging. It sounds so simple, but what else you gonna do? You just keep on swinging.
One ball, two strikes. 2-2.
Close.
Yeah, got a gift. Reaching out, rolling it toward third. And Marte gets an infield hit, and boy, the Tigers get a break in that the ball comes back off the limestone to Bobby Wilson. Castellanos, for some crazy reason, decides to throw a home. Should have just eaten it, and then, as it turns out, Marte took the turn, and he had to scramble back when Wilson gunned to Cabrera.
And I'm not so sure Wilson was expecting this throw from Castellanos.
Nobody was.
He was. That was Alphonse and Gaston.
My goodness. Infield a hit for Marte and an RBI, and the Pirates on the board.
You got the perfect bounce, or else you've got another man in scoring position. Makes the turn, and then scrambles.
It was a curly shuffle. Now you need Mr. Polanco to launch one here. Just rev it up, Steve.
Yep.
Ball one. Castellanos decided to throw the ball home, maybe keep the shutout intact. Jesus certainly wasn't expecting that. Two 2-0 on Gregory Polanco. He's walked, bounced to short, and popped to second. John Jesus scores the first run. Marte an RBI infield hit.
I think one of the most surprised people was Bobby Wilson.
Yeah. Catcher. Pirates had 43 come from behind wins last year. Second in the major leagues. Trailed only the Cardinals. There's a line drive with a gap. See Marte run. And the center fielder Collins gets to it quickly enough that Marte has to be held at third. And it's runners at the corners.
That combination, Marte and Polanco, you better have your act together defensively. And now another trip to the mound.
Hurdle checking on the Pirates bullpen.
And once again, the Pirates just keep on slugging, and you're right. At some point, they're going to break through.
It's Tony Watson. Energetic crowd on a Thursday afternoon, the first matinee weekday game of the year. Concluding this interleague series. Tomorrow night, back to the National League Central and the Brewers for the first of three. Now Josh Harrison, 1 for 3 today, led off last inning with a base hit, stole second, was stranded. 18,751, the announced paid attendance.
Wouldn't you love to come back and tie this thing up, win this thing for so many reasons? There's a lot of things going on that could be fixed.
Speaking of what's coming up Sunday, Bucks battle the Brewers at 1:35, and all kids 14 and younger get a Josh Harrison gnome. Compliments of Trib Total Media. For tickets, go to pirates.com. Jay Hay, popular Bucco player. And off the glove, and the pitcher Verhagen, the Pirates get a run. Perfect. Should have been an easy out. Instead, it's 4-2.
So I was talking about sometimes you can get just a routine kind of a thing, looks like an obvious easy out, and it just keeps the ball rolling. Just getting in no man's land, just not too close to the pitcher, just far enough, not too close to the infielders.
And they give Harrison a single and an RBI. They don't think much of you pitchers, Steve. Official scores. You know that?
Anything that goes back to the pitcher and doesn't result in an out, it's a base hit.
There's Jordy Mercer. Ball one. Now the Tigers activate their bullpen again.
Now the double because Harrison has all the room he could possibly want to lead off first base with Cabrera playing in back. You catch a gap now, 2 outs, he's off with contact. You got something going on.
1-1.
How about what as we take a look at the Tigers bullpen, how about what Doc Emmerich was talking about, that little scooter that Mercer hit down the right field line right now?
Yep.
Get you 2 runs.
That would be perfect. That's Mark Lowe in the bullpen. 2-1, can't bring that breaking ball back over the plate. 2-1 the count.
There's your runners.
Three and 1. Chance to load the bases. Caminero joins Tony Watson. Line drive toward left field, and that's going to get down. It's a 1-run game. Jordy Mercer's base hit to left scores Polanco. It's now 4-3. Now they're hitting with runners in scoring position.
That might be it, Mr. Verhagen. After the double play, 4 straight base hits. Here comes Brad Ausmus when the hitter is announced. Oh, hesitating. Watching the Tigers. I think Ausmus is just going to wait till the last possible moment to give Lowe another couple tosses, and here he comes.
Call on his veteran Mark Lowe to face Chris Stewart. After the Pirates rally here to score 3 times, see if they can maybe tie it up or better when we come back.
Copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Pittsburgh Pirates and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Just a reminder, as you enjoy a cold one, to look forward to Miller Time later in the game, brought to you by Miller Lite. Josh Harrison got credit for the infield RBI single off the pitcher's glove. He's now at second. Jordy Mercer moved him there and brought in another run, and Pirates scoring 3 times here in the 7th. Still have 2 on with 2 outs. Now down a run.
Think of how this inning has unfolded. You had your hopes up, the leadoff double, then a free pass, and the devastating double play. This has shades of that game against the Cardinals, the last game before the All-Star break, the Sunday night game. Single after single after single after single. About 2 more ought to do it.
Yeah. Gregory Polanco. Base hit and a run scored. And now Chris Stewart, 0 for 3, hit a ball toward the wall and left his last time up. In the dirt. Sean Rodriguez on deck. Francisco Cervelli the day off. We might see him as a pinch hitter down the road. Seated next to Andrew McCutchen. 1-1. Just those 2 on that Pirates bench right now. Watching Chris Stewart at the plate against Mark Lowe, who gave up a run in the 8th inning last night on the McCutchen RBI double.
They're bunched in the outfield. They give the Pirates both corners.
Checks. 2-2. John Neese.
See him this weekend against the Brewers.
Veteran Mark Lowe. Pitched for Seattle and Toronto last year. Signed as a free agent in December by Detroit. And Stewart fouls it off. More happy Pirates fans.
Thursday afternoon souvenir.
Chris Stewart, such a pro in his 3rd year with the Pirates. Hard hit, but at the second baseman. Kinsler will throw him out. Pirates get 3 and get to within 1. Started with a double. Marte's infield single run in the 1st run. Polanco, Harrison, Mercer follow with hits. Down 1. Stay tuned after the game for this week's Inside Pirates Baseball. The Buccos are a great example of how baseball has become a world game. Rick Sofield mic'd up and much more. Inside Pirates Baseball presented by Allegheny Health Network today after postgame on Root Sports. We go across toward the Convention Center, City of Bridges, Pittsburgh, PA. Finale of this home-and-home series against the Tigers. Sterling Marte's #1 fan, and
yep, they'll get a baseball. Somebody's going to get one.
Who is it? Oh no! What are we going to do about that?
We're going to give it back to him. Everybody deserves a second chance.
Is Marte going to retrieve it? Yep. Timeout.
And that will just endear him even more, that he doesn't give up and goes over and gets it. Well, we've gotten to within one. Hard work. Just keep on slugging.
Tony Watson needs to keep it a 1-run deficit.
Scoreless, 4 1/3 innings for Tony. Couple of walks, 4 strikeouts. Appearance number 6.
Bucks have now out-hit the Tigers 11-6. Kinsler has 1 of the 6 hits for Detroit. It was a pop-up to shallow left center field leading off the 4th inning against Garrett Cole, and it was the first hit of the ball game after Cole had retired the first 9. Three home runs, 8 RBIs for Kinsler through the first 8 games the Tigers have played. And he fights this one off. Similar to that 4th inning where he was jammed on a pitch from Garrett Cole. Allegheny Health Network Supermo. Mercer tries to get up and get it.
Outfielders run out of room, shortstops run out of height.
Justin Upton 1 for 3, lined out to Polanco in the 1st inning. Tigers have scored at least 4 runs now in each of their first 8 games of the season. Last time a Tigers team did that, 2004. Started that year scoring 4 or more runs in 8 straight games.
I'm surprised they haven't done it more.
Last year's offense, it's hard to believe. Last year, 689 runs scored, the lowest total since the 2003 Tigers scored 591 runs, and that Tigers team lost 119 games.
That's got to be the most losses
ever in the American League, correct?
Yeah.
And 1 shy of the all-time Mets futility mark. And that 2003 Tigers team went 43 and 119. Remember Mike Maroth, the pitcher that went 9 and 21, and Jeremy Bonderman held back the end, was 6 and 19 that year. Runner goes. And a stolen base. Ian Kinsler.
That could almost have been described as defensive indifference.
Yeah. Takes off on that Watson move. 2-2. And that's hit hard. Polanco over. Will make the catch, and Kinsler will move up 90 feet.
So that's when it becomes a factor. Stolen base and then sacrifice fly, and he's on the doorstep.
Bucks are back. So are Free Shirt Fridays tomorrow. Pirates Brewers 7:05. First 20,000 fans will get a free Pirates t-shirt presented by Point Park University. For tickets, go to pirates.com/Free Shirt Friday. Starling Marte modeling that shirt. There's the Bucco left fielder. Infield in. Miguel Cabrera. Struck out twice and lined out to center.
Well, tough challenge here for Tony Watson. Unless they just want to work around him, but it doesn't get any easier with Martinez. Yeah, they are. Set up a double play.
Cabrera, we've talked to Steve, some of the people that sit around the box seats down there by the dugout near the on-deck circle. He is constantly engaged with fans in the on-deck circle. Our buddy Scott Miller showed him during that bat, but while he's on deck last night, showed him a video from last year while he's waiting on deck. He's looking at Scott Miller's phone and then took a selfie with him.
Yep, he's having a good time.
Yep.
And the way he hits,
yeah,
not surprised.
Right. Whoops.
Very complete follow through.
Oh, and 1. And a strike.
Well, he struck out 178 times last year, so certainly a candidate. And this is what you're thinking right now, 0-2. Stewart's going to have to be on his toes in case they decided to try something downstairs and get him to chase.
To right field, and that's going to bring home another run. J.D. Martinez.
Yep, not the pitch Tony wanted to throw.
Big run back for them, 5-3.
So you go back to that easy stolen base. Yep, that's upstairs. Tony didn't want it there. Maybe wanted to try to get it inside to tie him up, but nowhere near inside. Stolen base, 2 sacrifice flies. Huge run.
Wow, that's hit hard. Deep to left field by Castellanos. A 2-run homer for Nick Castellanos, his 2nd of the year. It's his 3rd hit of the day. He's driven in 4 of the Tigers' 7 runs. They open up a 7-3 lead.
It's like deja vu from last night. 7-3, and they did it late. Out over the plate, gets the arms extended and hits it to the big part of this ballpark. Didn't think we were going to see a 7-3 ball game this afternoon, for sure.
Oh, that's hit hard. Diving stop, Jaso. Throws to first. What a play by John Jaso. It comes after a 3-run score. But to take nothing away from the fine defensive play by the Pirates' first baseman. Nick Castellanos, 4 RBIs, 7-3 Detroit. What a day for Nick Castellanos, leading the offensive attack here for the Tigers. 7-3. Detroit leads it. John Jaso finished off the inning with a spectacular diving stop and a strike to Watson right there. Yeah, they scored 3 runs, but again, you can't take anything away from that tremendous defensive play. Cole Figueroa bats for Tony Watson. Watson just appeared in his 339th Major League game. It was only the 6th time in his career he's given up as many as 3 runs in an inning. Figueroa toward left, but that's where they play him. 1 out.
It's just been that kind of an afternoon. The opportunities missed and then closing to within a run. Getting a full taste of the firepower that the Detroit Tigers have.
And something the Pirates are going to need to straighten out is that bullpen. Such an important part of all those comeback wins last year. John Jaso 2 hits. Line to right field. How about Jaso have a day?
And it's one of those stories, you never know what you're going to have when you acquire a new player, how it's going to play out. But so far, a great start for John Jaso with a new position defensively and with his bat.
Look at the stride into the ball for Jaso. 1 out, line single to right. 3 straight hits for him. A dozen hits for the Bucks. Down 4 with 1 out in the 8th.
So once again, the Pirates will reach deep into the bullpen. As usually happens in those kind of situations, when you use them a lot, you're going to have to hope for a strong start tomorrow night. Save some of those arms out there.
Archie, Jimenez Caminero coming on. Disappointing outing last night.
Yep. Try to get the taste of that out of his mouth, giving up the grand slam. Frustrating afternoon for Andrew McCutchen. A couple of free passes around a strikeout and a flyout.
Hit well toward right center field. Andrew McCutchen with a 1-hopper up against the wall. Sofield will wave home Jaso. Here comes the throw to the plate. Oh my goodness, he's out at home plate. Down 7-3.
Yep, you certainly wonder about that one, because you've got something going, and the Tigers executed it perfectly, and the call is correct.
Nice play by Bobby Wilson. See the tag.
Home plate umpire Jerry Meals has to kind of come around. Make sure he's still got the ball. Plays clean.
Nobody feels worse than the Pirates' third base coach right now.
It happens. The Tigers had to do it perfectly, and they did.
Yep. Clint Hurdle has talked about wanting to be aggressive. 8-6-2 on the putout at home. David Freese, 2 for 4.
And you think about where that ball had to be, the defensive play had to start out by the Xfinity sign in the deepest part of right center field. A long throw into the shortstop, and then another long throw into home plate.
Now on the other side, well, to be fair, and Rick Sophie will say too, but when you're down 4 in the 8th, there's a ground ball that kicks off the bag. David Freese will bring home McCutchen. 7-4, and now Freese goes for second, and he is safe. Brother.
Adventures.
The 7-4 game.
Yep, the literal base hit. Bang, straight up. Direction change. That combination gets everybody moving.
Left fielder, Starling Marte.
You know, for Mark Lowe, he threw 25 pitches last night. Replay of the Freese hustling double. Past Castellanos.
Yeah. Andrew doubled off him last night.
Yeah.
And
8-4-2. They correct the play at the plate. 8-4-2. Lefty up in the bullpen with Polanco on deck. Interesting moment there for Ausmus. Not sure what the message would have been.
Well, Lowe's been around a while. He said, hey, can you handle this? Maybe that was kind of it. It was that quick. It'll take long to have that exchange.
He's got the lefty up ready for Polanco. Maybe how to pitch Marte. Do you say nothing but breaking balls? No fastballs?
Yeah, maybe.
Freese with his first double. Well, there's a heater inside. First 2 pitches of this at bat.
Extremes.
It would be a roll of the dice to say to Lowe, give him nothing to hit.
Yeah, because, well, you're bringing the tying run up to the plate. That's risky business.
Kyle Ryan ready to face Polanco if the inning continues. Jammed him. And he will be retired. The Pirates get 3 straight hits after 1 out, score 1, 7-4. PNC Park as the Pirates open up a weekend series against the Milwaukee Brewers. Coverage begins at 6:30 with Pirates pregame, presented by WB Mason on Root Sports.
This has been an example, Greg, of one of those games. There's no flow or rhythm to it, choppy, bizarre things happening, and just bouncing along. And now Caminero on, who had the experience last night of throwing a pitch for a grand slam.
Steve, it's funny.
Last night, 2/3 of an inning, 4 runs.
You and I were talking about this on the radio side, that a guy who can throw 100, 101, 102 at times, Caminero, as we didn't see last night. There's 97 right off the bat. Jared Saltalamacchia hit the grand slam off of him and turned around a fastball. And what is it about a fastball like that? Whereas I watched the Dodgers game last night and Kenley Jansen coming on and throwing 91, 92 and blowing it past them. What is the difference?
I wish I had the answer for you. We saw the very best of Caminero last night, and then the second guy he faced, it was just no contest, and we saw the worst. And just after 2 quick outs, it just all fell apart.
John Heyman is reporting that the Pirates have signed Justin Masterson to a minor league deal. Veteran starting pitcher, bouncing ball to the shortstop, 2 hops. Tigers Bobby Wilson, Mercer to Jaso.
Well, you always follow a team's starting rotation from April till October, and you can see the comings and goings. Again, you wonder if this, and I have no way of knowing. It's just a thought that enters your mind. Does that accelerate the attention of Tejan and Gosnow? I think they'd love to have them see a full season in AAA.
Andrew Romine lines it to left with 1 out off of Caminero. So well, one thing we did notice over the winter, the Pirates were discussing the idea that one or both would be joining the team at some point this summer. That's kind of goes against the philosophy normally. So they really, I think, are counting on one or both at some point this summer.
Right, and what happens is not so much how they're pitching, it's what happens with the guys that are here, that they might be just hopping and bopping along, but the pressure becomes
forces the issue,
forcing them to get here, rather than when it feels right for them, it might not feel right at the major league level, and as you say, forces the issue. Yeah, sometimes not what they do is what is happening here.
It is only 10 games, but I'm going to repeat that the starting pitching is something that you know, is the basis, of course, for any team. But right now, early on, the concern has to be the bullpen, Steve.
Yes.
It was lights out last year, and it still could be and likely will be. But if the Pirates want to get off to that quick start they wanted, and a loss today would get them to 500, they want to win more games than they did in April of last year, and they talked about it a lot over the winter and during spring training, then they're going to need that bullpen.
Yeah, and when you have starters that go 6 innings, it used to be all about the rotation. There's a pitch that misses. Now the bullpen has elevated itself to the importance that the rotation has.
Mike Aviles is pinch hitting for Mark Lowe.
And it's so interesting because you see the possibility of this bullpen being so strong with Melanson back down to Watson, Phillies, Caminero, Jared Hughes. You know what the capabilities are. So maybe it's just this little stretch. Hopefully that's the case. Because it's hard to run the table out of the bullpen like the Pirates did last year. Sometimes 3 innings can be the easiest thing to cover. Sometimes it can be extremely difficult.
Hopefully Jared Hughes isn't too far away. He's not started a rehab assignment yet. What did that hit?
Him.
Yeah, but did you hear the sound?
Yeah, it sounded like it broke 3 bones.
Second baseman, Ian Kinsler.
Hit that elbow guard, I assume. Make that noise.
Yeah. Exactly. If you don't have that on, you might have a broken arm.
Yeah, then you would have, you said 3 broken bones. 2 on 1 out, Ian Kinsler at the plate. How about today's game between the Phillies and the Padres in Philadelphia? The rookie, Vince Velasquez, goes the distance on a 3-hit shutout, did not walk a batter, and struck out 16 Padres.
Whoa. I thought the Phillies were supposed to be struggling this year. They won a good ball game last night. Strong game. I think, what, 2-1?
They are now 5-5. 1-1 on Ian Kinsler.
One other example when you think you got things figured out. It's going to be a mighty struggle, and it still might be for Philadelphia or Cincinnati, but they're both holding their own coming out of the gate.
Cardinals shutting out the Brewers 5-0. Jaime Garcia. Wow, 7 innings, 1 hit, no runs, no walks, 10 strikeouts. Caminero on to first, and difficult for Jaso, but he handles it.
Nothing's easy. Nothing is easy today for the Pirates.
Left fielder, Justin Upton.
The other factor about a bullpen, if you have one guy that's struggling, sometimes you can piece and patch around it. But if you have 2 or 3 guys that are struggling, then it casts a whole negative feel about your bullpen. Who can I go to today? Who's not struggling? Who can I pitch around if the rest of the guys are doing okay? How much can I use them? It's what do they say? It gets to be a staph infection.
Mm-hmm.
But again, you look at tomorrow night, they might be lights out for 3 innings, and everybody feels better.
Well, I don't know whether Stewart was surprised by that. He had to jump up and stab that 100-mile-per-hour fastball from Caminero.
Sometimes that speed requires a stab, and it seemed like somebody threw a switch for Archimedes after the first 2 batters from last night and tonight.
Justin Upton, a hit in 4 trips. Tigers looking to improve to 6-2 on the year. Pirates down 3. And we'll have Gregory Polanco due up in the bottom of the 9th. And they still have the lefty Ryan up along with their closer Francisco Rodriguez.
Who the Pirates have certainly seen a good bit of in this series. 4-game set.
So last shot for the Buccos. Coming up for the Pirates in the bottom of the 9th inning, it will be Gregory Polanco. He'll be followed by Josh Harrison. And then Jordy Mercer. The Pirates try to come back. Home half of the ninth. Tigers lead. Head to the bottom of the ninth inning. Pirates trying to rally here. The Renegades. Try and do it against the closer K-Rod. Normally does. Brad Ausmus bringing K-Rod. He goes with a stronger defensive alignment. Anthony Gose in center. Jose Iglesias moves to short. Andrew Romine to third. K-Rod, a veteran right-hander, facing Gregory Polanco. All one. So Gose in center. Romine moves from short to third. And the new shortstop, Jose Iglesias. And one away if the catch is made. And it's not. The jinx works again.
It's been that kind of afternoon
for Andrew Romine.
Yeah, defensive alignment.
That's his second error.
The wind's not blowing either.
Wow. Some would assume that's an out. You can never assume anything in baseball. One out. Romine charged with the second error of the game. Shortstop, he made an error and a physical miscue along with a mental error, and here the drop in foul territory doesn't cost the Tigers an out. Josh Harrison comes to the plate, 2 for 4. Shades on the bill of his cap.
wonder how long ago sunglasses came into vogue for during the game, umpires and players. It's been a while. Usually they're worn over the eyes.
You mean when it came into vogue that they put them on the top of the cap instead of on their over their eyes, right?
They used to have the flippers, remember?
Yeah, yeah.
They called timeout. The sun came out. Everybody take a bunch of them out.
The question: why did they get away from the flippers?
I don't know. But also, I mean, wear them when they're hitting.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And then umpires.
Yeah. Clear skies here. Pirates down to their last 2 outs.
Must have been a high sky.
Miguel Cabrera. As the shades going. Anthony Gose in center.
Romine still wearing his up on his hat.
Francisco Rodriguez walked the first man he faced last night, Francisco Cervelli, and then got Gregory Polanco to line into a double play. Josh Harrison ended the game flying out to right field. It was a non-save situation. Tonight, or today, it is a save opportunity for Rodriguez. Again toward right, but out of play. Rodriguez looking for his second save as a member of the Tigers.
Was he tied with Shane Green for the team lead?
Yeah.
He started.
But Green's 386 career saves away from Rodriguez.
True.
Jay Hayes spoils a number of pitches. Three and two. Rally cap on. Pulled foul. Boy, Harrison fouling pitches everywhere. That ball was hit a ton up toward the top deck. Another foul.
There were days when Rodriguez threw so hard, you didn't have these extended at bats. You either got him or he got you, and it didn't take long. Now he's lost a lot of speed. Easier for at bats to stay alive. Check that pattern out.
Man. Another.
They're going to run out of room in that grid.
Still 3 and 2. Single season saves record, Major League history, set in 2008 by Francisco Rodriguez. 62 saves. That 2008 season for the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim.
62 saves. That's ridiculous.
And oh, what a pick by Romine. Wouldn't you know it?
Yep, didn't need the glasses. That was a sensational play.
Wouldn't you know it? The trouble Romine has had at times this afternoon. He's also made a couple of fine plays, but this one the best of the day.
Many times you'll see that play, the glove will come straight up in the air, kind of an Ole kind of a play, but it looked like he had it measured, and that's pretty impressive. He's right there with it instead of just hoping to have the glove in the right spot. Down it.
Mercer, the Pirates' last chance, and now in the hole, 0-2.
Pirates out hitting the Tigers 14-9.
Garrett Cole is going to start the year, unless the Pirates rally here with 2 outs, 0-2.
12 left on base for the Pirates.
Just 4 left on for the Tigers. Picked up from the Brewers in a trade this winter. Pirates won the first game of this home-and-home 4-game series in Detroit 7-4. On Monday afternoon, beat Justin Verlander out, hit the Tigers 17-6. On Tuesday afternoon, the Tigers came back and won it 8-2, out hitting the Pirates 14-5. Last night it was 7-3 Detroit. Here it is 7-4 Tigers. Bullpen has been an issue over the years for Detroit. They made moves this winter to not only acquire Rodriguez, but Mark Lowe, that we saw pitch 1 1/3 here this afternoon, and of course Justin Wilson, the lefty. There's Romine again, and that does it. The Tigers take the series, win 3 of 4. And the Pirates are 5-5 now in the young season.
After being 4-0 on a very frustrating Thursday afternoon, they'll set it up and get ready for the Milwaukee Brewers.
Nick Castellanos, a big day. Helped put the game away with the home run in the 8th, and he made it a 2-0 game with his 2-run double in the 4th off Garrett Cole. So Jordan Zimmerman starts his Tiger career 2-0. Rodriguez with 2 saves. The Brewers will be coming to town tomorrow night. And let's get more from Rob and Teague.
Greg and Steve, thanks very much. And Teague, this was a game in which it started out way long ago as a pitcher's duel, but even during that pitcher's duel and really throughout the course of the game, this became a game in which the Tigers were able to capitalize on their opportunities and the Pirates were not.
Yeah, the Tigers were able to capitalize on their few opportunities they had offensively, and they were able to capitalize on a couple of mistakes that the Pirates made. That combination, gave them just enough to get the runs to get the lead early, and then, they did what you do when you got a lead early. You start picking up, add on a run here, add on a run there, and the Pirates were trying to come back, but the add-on runs just kept them in a chase position the whole afternoon.
Just like we promised earlier in the game, it's Miller time, brought to you by Miller Lite, and it's Nick Castellanos. Boy, some guys had big series. J.D. Martinez, Nick Castellanos. Again, if we count the 4 games as one series, Teague 3 for 4, a home run, 4 RBIs, and 2 runs scored today.
Yeah, and when you think about the Detroit Tigers, Castellanos is in there, but he's not one of the main names that you're thinking about. You're thinking about the Martinezes, you're thinking about Cabrera, But Castellanos did as much damage as anybody during these 4 games against the Pirates.
Tigers continuing to score runs. They've scored 4 or more in every game so far this season as the Pirates drop back to 500 with the 7-4 loss. Coming up on Pirates Postgame presented by the Allegheny Health Network. Highlights and postgame reaction from this game. Teak will look forward to the weekend series. He'll provide his analysis and much more coming up on Pirates Postgame presented by the Allegheny Health Network.